Hello, everyone. I am so sorry that we are late, but it looks like for some reason technology is not our friend today. So we are going to see if I can add, there we go, Angela, invite. Perfect. Yay. I think we're going to get this. All right. Yes, we figured it out.
Yay!
Okay. Okay, if you could just move your camera down a little bit, I want to see your beautiful face. Awesome. That's and then
Is that better?
leave it straight up. The the other way. Did you just turn your phone? Yeah, perfect. Like that.
Okay.
Now
This
you're
way?
sideways. No, that way.
Is this better?
Perfect. Okay. All right. Yes. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Technology was not our friend today. I do have this pulled up. So if you have questions, we are here to help. We are here to be of service to you today. This is really going to be just a candid conversation um, about transformation, about getting to know yourself, about you stepping into your power and really owning your brilliance, not only in your business, but in your life. And so I want to introduce you to someone who is such a huge part of my business, not only for retreats, but just, also as a friend who has helped me tremendously in so many ways. And I wanted to bring her magic to you today to share a little bit about how she helps her clients and how she supports us in Release and Rise. So, Angela, do you want to give just a quick introduction about yourself?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Angela. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a clinical Eden energy medicine practitioner. The way that I really help clients is helping you to get in tune with yourself. Everything goes back to self-awareness and learning how to work with our nervous system, learning how to be empowered with some coping skills to flow through those resistances instead of cower down to them.
Right. So can you give us a quick example of what that might look like? So if someone comes to you, or to if they're looking for, they're just kind of like not feeling aligned, or
Mhm.
they're feeling a lot of worry and fear in their life, what does that look like in terms of even bringing in some of the five elements? Like how does that really affect the way that someone's showing up to their life if they're out of balance? Let's just talk a little bit about that too.
And it's really challenging whenever this is how you've lived your whole life, when you don't know anything different. A lot of people who are empaths like ourselves, emotions really ruled my life. And that wasn't always a good thing. Normally that looked very reactive. It looked very afraid, cowering back, not really, I'm walking on eggshells all the time. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm taking care of everyone else, that myself, or I'm getting really angry, go from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds flat. Those types of things, those are all indications that we're not really showing up for ourselves.
Right. So when someone is out of balance, describe a little bit about the five elements and how you bring that into Release and Rise so
Mm-hmm.
that you can help empower people
Mm-hmm.
to choose differently and not go to that old pattern of reactivity.
Yep. So the five elements, based off of traditional Chinese medicine, it's actually one of the oldest personality assessments that there is. I recommend looking into the book The Five Elements by Don Stallion. It gives a really good explanation. It helps you to understand yourself more, your different characteristics. It helps me to understand why I do the things I do and why other people do the things that they do. Once you learn more about yourself, you can kind of start to see, I'm my primary element's water. I have a little too much fear situation. I'm out of balance. And then there's specific, more mindfulness types of poses to help your nervous system regain balance. The fight, flight, and freeze response isn't always taking you out of your cycle.
Right. And so I definitely want to go through a couple of different patterns of and how this can show up whenever someone might be out of balance, and then when someone is, how they might be showing up differently to their life, to their relationships. And ultimately, the work that we do is really empowerment work to help you to go from disempowered, feeling like you can't have a voice or you can't speak up in your relationships or whatever that might be for you. And we're going to go through a couple of the different patterns and how that shows up, to really owning your power and not being afraid to share all aspects of yourself. And to me, that's really what owning your brilliance is. It's not being afraid to admit, like, hey, I'm not perfect and I have these things, but here I am. And these are the gifts that I have to share with the world. And I feel like when you have that empowerment, when you have these self-coping tools, it's truly, it helps you to show up to your business, to your life with more power and attract more clients, help more people, and be able to stay in that balance no matter what comes your way. So it's not about perfection. It's just like, hey, this is life. These are the things that come up. And this is these are some of the coping tools that we give and share to help you to own your power. And so one way that I see a lot of kind of this disempowerment showing up, and maybe this is can resonate with a lot of people, is this staying small. So you kind of, contracted back when you said that before, and it can be from fear, it can be from worry, or whatever programming you might have around there not being enough, or maybe you feel like you're not enough. And so all of these old beliefs, these old patterns and programs show up and either can prevent you from moving forward in your business and doing that Facebook Live, or maybe it shows up in a different way for you. Like I wrote down a couple of examples here. Maybe you stay small and you don't ask for a raise when you know that it's your time to get a raise in your job. Maybe you don't go for an opportunity that you know is going to help you advance your career, or maybe you see an opportunity to be in a magazine or to really be seen and to show up, but part of you is like, it's this inner conflict, right? It's part of you is like, oh, that's really sounds great, that's your soul, kind of that quiet voice that's like, yeah, go do that, that's your intuition. But then the old programming is pulling you back, saying, oh, no, 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 that's not safe to do because remember the last time. And then your monkey mind goes and pulls you back. So you may talk yourself out of opportunities. Maybe you go to do that Facebook Live and you go to shine your light out in the world, but the old programming is holding you back and keeping you small. So that's one way that it can show up. So just, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about how that may present for people, or what you think about that.
What came to my mind the most, you said that, is everybody wants to be perfect. Well, I don't know enough about this to talk about it, or I'm not the best, I'm not the expert, I'm not this, I'm not that. To me, it always goes back to self-love. It's like, but I have a passion for this, and I do this, I live my life differently. I know I have something I can give to somebody else. That's all it is. To me, it's very gentle. It's easy. It's like, you know what? I have something to give, and I can help other people. That's all that this is. And it's one step at a time.
Right. And like you always say, sometimes you need that little nudge, and sometimes like me, when you're at the edge of the cliff, I'm like, go, you got
Yes.
it.
Yeah. That's why you need a really good coach, honestly. Like I'm more of a water energy element, which means when I'm balanced, I can be very, very hopeful. But when I'm not balanced, I do kind of cower down into fear. And having a really good coach to support you, that Christina, especially her energy, the way that she sees different things, it is very different than the majority of other people. Because she's such a wood energy. She's so imbalanced with her energy, and she is going to help lovingly call you out to call you up and push you out of your comfort zone. We have to. If we're always in our comfort zone, we're not growing. That's something I tell almost every client I work with. We have to be willing to experience the unknowns. Now, unknowns are what is going to trigger those nervous system fight, flight, freeze, maybe even fawning, trauma response reactions. But the more that we're putting ourselves in those uncomfortable spaces, our energy is going to start to understand, oh, I'm actually safe here.
Well,
And it just helps you to keep, kind of going up the ladder instead of always falling down or just staying where you are.
Right. No, I just got so excited. I was like, yes, that's exactly what happens, because people don't realize, and this is something that I don't think is talked about enough. When you go and build a business, when you're stretching yourself out of your comfort zone, when you're kind of going into the unknown, these responses can come up because maybe you get triggered by money or a conversation with your client. And so having these tools and it's so much deeper than mindset work. It's really helping to rewire your nervous system to be like, hey, it's safe for me to shine. It's safe for me to be seen. And that's really where you get that growth and the momentum to keep going, like you said, versus kind of moving backwards or cowering back or not taking those opportunities that you can. And you have the support. When you have support, it's just this feeling, for me at least, of feeling held, of feeling safe and really supported in taking those next steps. And we did a really cool exercise at the Elevate retreat where, and this was actually a divine download, where I had somebody close their eyes and they did I called it the faith walk, where I said, okay, what is the fear you have? And they said, the fear of being seen or whatever it was. And then I held up little sticky notes and I said, okay, now keep walking. And they walked by themselves and they hit into a sticky note. And it was like, hey, here's an outcome that happens when you step into the unknown. Maybe it's like, hey, here's a new client, or hey, here's a life lesson. It's all serving you. It's all a gift. And even though it can feel really unnerving and your nervous system's like, having the tools and having the support. And then Angela walked behind the person and was like, hey, it feels so much more grounding to have that support. So
goodness, absolutely. The program that you do, this, releasing your eyes, honestly, it is such a gift to know that you're supported. You have people that got your back. You have people that they want to pull you out of the cage that maybe you let yourself stay in and show you that it's safe. You have people all around you. It's so encouraging. It's something that I prayed for when I was going through my journey. Honestly, it's such a gift.
Right. And yeah, I can really relate to that. I feel like for the first, because, not to go too much into my story, but for the first 7 years when I had my eating disorder, I just felt so alone and like I was crazy. And I wish that I would have had some kind of support system, because it took me that long. I feel like 7 is like my number, because it was like 7 years to heal my eating disorder, 7 years until I hired a coach. So, I just feel like it doesn't have to take that long. You can have support for people to be around you who know these tools, who can help you rebalance your energy, reclaim your power, so that you're showing up to your business from service. You don't need to be afraid. You don't need to have that worry like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing. And so it's important to have that support. Another thing, I'm just kind of going through my list here, that I see a lot is the people pleasing. So I'm just going to describe a little bit about how this might be showing up, just to define it a little bit more clearly. So maybe it shows up for you like you kind of just stuff things under the rug, and you don't want to cause a rift, because it's not safe to have loving conversations with. It could be anybody, your spouse, with your child, with a client. And so you kind of always have this, I almost picture it as like a closed throat chakra, where you want to say the thing, but you don't want to rock the boat because it hasn't been safe in the past. So it can show up like that. it can be suppressing your needs or your feelings, or only seeming happy, like you only are allowed to have a certain range of emotion, when in reality we're meant to experience the wide range of emotion, of human emotion. It could be the fear of showing up and feeling like you're bragging in your business because you're like, hey, I have this thing. It could also be, that you're afraid to reach out to people because you don't want to seem like you're a burden to them. So people pleasing can show up in so many ways. So I don't know if you want to speak on that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, and it's such a hard one, especially for people who are empaths, right? Because we want everybody to be happy and feel
Yeah.
good and to be, stepping into their power and their light and shining it for the world. And that's wonderful. But the more I grow and learn, I'm not responsible for where other people are in their journey. I'm responsible for me and where I am in my journey. And I've had to, you could still love other people, but choose to no longer align with them. If you want to grow, you do have to align yourself higher. It's just, you have to put yourself first. Love others as you love yourself. If we're not spending the time to love ourselves, we're really not going to be able to love others. And honestly, us hiding and staying small, like we've been talking about, that's really not helping other people. It's hurting them. They might actually need exactly what we have to shine out into the world. That might be what they need for their growth. So whenever I started to reframe it that way, I don't know, in some ways it helped.
Yeah. And, to be honest, there can be a lot of fear when we rise. Like, the whole program is release and rise, because you do lose people. And we've seen that in the past, round that we are finishing up now. But it's like, you can choose to stay small and hide, or you can choose to rise and to maybe align with people that are more with where you're going and who you really are, because that's the crux of release and rise to me. It's really peeling back these layers of the limited self, of these old programs, rebalancing your energy so that you're becoming the version of yourself that God wants you to be, so that you are shining your light and not having these different blocks that show up, which there's nothing wrong. Like, no one's perfect, but it's kind of, it's aligning with that version of yourself that is unstoppable, that is truly unlocked and unleashed to share your light and to own all these aspects of who you are. So
I love
yeah.
quotes, and one of my favorites is your vibe attracts your tribe. So, look around where you are. Look at your tribe of the people that you're with. Are they helping you to grow? Are you staying stuck? What's the collective energy of this circle? What's maybe the resistance or the fear, or maybe what is the higher alignment? That really helps me. I really pay attention to the vibration, the energies of the people that I spend the most time with, because energy is contagious, right? You're going to become like the people that you spend the most time with.
Right.
So boundaries are a huge, huge, huge part of healing. And they're not a wall, they're a door. Again, it doesn't mean you're being mean. It's just that, this person, they serve something for a beautiful season of my life, and I love them for it. But maybe they aren't ready to journey on where I am, or maybe they're not supposed to. That's their journey. So I can still love them, but it's going to be a little bit more from a distance as I'm aligning myself with these higher goals that God keeps giving me to step into.
I love that. Yeah, and that's the perfect segue into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is boundaries. And it's not the thing that I've had to learn too this year. I feel like boundaries was kind of like my big life lesson this year. It was to not put walls around my heart. Like, I'm still here and I'm still open-hearted and available, because before I was like, closing it down, like I need to protect myself, and that's not helpful either. That's kind of like the extreme. But now it's more like, okay, I'm here, I'm available, I'm open, but I'm also allowed to set boundaries so that I take care of myself. And if that means saying no to opportunities that don't align with me, or not picking up a phone call that I know is going to be a draining conversation, or whatever that is for you. I know that setting boundaries can bring up a lot of things. Like maybe you feel like you can't set a boundary with a client or with a family member, of like only being on the phone for 10 minutes, or not being available all the time. That was something that I had to really put in place this year, because I was constantly, you want to be of service to your clients, but you can't be of service if you're coming with an empty cup. So I had to set boundaries around, when I'm checking my Facebook, when I'm answering emails. And so all of these things come up whenever you're, think about it. If you want to help more people, you need to have boundaries and standards for your time, because you need to be able to energetically hold those people. So that's a really big part of it. Also, you brought up, which I love, like, what is my stuff and what is not my stuff. I think that can be, especially for empaths, because I know for me, I feel everything. And so being able to discern what is mine and what is not mine, because it's so easy to kind of mix those two together. And then being able to set boundaries without guilt or shame. I know that that's a big cycle. Like, I just giving a personal example, whenever I spoke up when I was younger, or when I said I didn't want to do something, I got punished. So now that was my pattern. Whenever I went to go set boundaries in my business, I felt guilt and shame. And it was me having to rewire my brain and kind of discern, okay, this is a distortion based upon my past programming. What is the truth? And I just posted something about that. I posted like an exercise in the Monetize Your Magic group for everybody to look at that. It's these powerful tools that can help you go from that guilt, that really low vibration of beating yourself up, to being like, okay, this is the truth and this is how I'm going to respond. So it's like you said before, it's kind of going from the reactivity to more space in between and responding with love.
And it's just reminding yourself, I'm not responsible for other people's reactions to my boundaries. Boundaries are not to punish other people. They are to protect yourself. They are to protect your own sacred space. Not everybody will like the boundaries you set, and that's okay. Whenever you grew up in an abusive environment, so did I. That's where boundaries weren't safe. There's normally never boundaries in homes with some sort of abuse going on. That's how abuse continues. So learning how to set those as an adult, that's like a whole different thing. And it can feel very scary, but I promise you it's very safe. And I absolutely love boundaries, because they are a way of protection, but they're vulnerable. You're in charge of that door. You can open it and close it as you see fit. Like I said, not a solid wall where, you're armed all the time. No, that's not what boundaries are, but they're very empowering.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, going through all of these things, we're kind of just showing you the difference between, like the normal patterning and how you might have grown up, or the things that might be normal to you. You can release that. It's safe to release, to rise, and you might attract new clients. You might attract new friends, new relationships that are serving the person you're becoming. And that's okay. That's okay too. Because I know there can be a lot of feelings of loss or sadness that come up with that too, when you feel like, oh, well, the people that I used to hang around are no longer, with me at this time. But like you said, loving them from a distance, I think, is really big. And then the last one that I wanted to talk about was, tuning into your body as you go along this journey. So often when we're empathic and we grow up in chaotic environments or abusive environments, or even, if you had a divorced parent, an unavailable parent, so often we abandon ourselves to please others. And this kind of ties into the people pleasing, because it wasn't safe to be in your own body. And so sometimes that pattern continues. Like, I know for me, it showed up as dissociating and numbing myself out through food. So that was my pattern. I drank, I smoked, I was looking for love outside of myself through codependent relationships. I didn't realize it at the time that that's what it was. But we numb, we distract, we keep busy, because we don't want to feel the feelings of discomfort that are locked in our body, and that's where trauma lives. So the more that you can tune into your body and learn these techniques on how to release that trauma in a safe space, then you can start to feel into, okay, I can trust myself again. What feels good to me? Does that opportunity align with my values, with who I'm becoming? Does this friendship feel good to me? Because so often we can't discern that. So I don't know if you want to speak on that a little bit, like dissociation and different, like numbing and all that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly how I grew up, was very dissociated from my life, from my feelings, emotions, from my own body. We have to feel it to heal it. And I know that can feel very overwhelming or very scary, but whenever you actually step into this work, your nervous system, your body, your energy knows what you need, and it knows what you're ready for. So it's extremely important to become aware of, oh, this is how my body starts reacting whenever I walk into a conversation where there's potential, conflict or something like that. Knowing the tools that I teach with the Eden Energy Medicine, you can help your nervous system to reframe the reactivity around these beliefs, around these old stories or situations, so that you can come from a place of peace and empowerment, so you can learn how to respond to situations instead of react. Remember, all of this in our past, it all served us. It's okay to grieve past situations, people that are no longer serving us, all of those things, all of that's necessary to do. But we could get a boundary around that and learn how to let that go and step into the new. If I didn't have these tools to help myself through this, with as sensitive as I am, there's no way I'd be working today. I couldn't. It was so overpowering, the reactivity, the nervous system energy that was taking me down left and right. I couldn't show up in my life at all. Now it's easy, and it was easy. It was gentle. There were some challenging moments of getting through some of these, situations, these energetic charges and triggers. But again, when you have the supportive space to do that, you're safe. You're not alone.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love how you said that. And so just a little bit more about Release and Rise and how we're going to be supporting you through your transformation and how that directly affects how you show up in your business. When you imagine that you're like this, right? You're contracted, your inner child is scared. Maybe you have a lot of triggers around money, relationships, and so you're constantly exhausted. You're constantly in that reactivity mode. And so how would you be showing up to your business differently? Like, what would that look like practically? I just want to, like, what do you think, Angela? How would that show up for people?
Well, I guess it just kind of depends. For me, somebody that's a water energy, fear, 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 fear. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'll, step into, and like, I'm too afraid to do this. I'm too afraid to do that. I'm too afraid. No. It's like, okay, I know this is just when I feel reactive or my energy senses that something isn't safe, this is what takes over. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So it's kind of just stepping into being the observer of your life. And like you said before, what's the truth? What is the truth? Okay, here's the truth. Here's what I know I can align with higher. But here's all those scary feelings that are coming up with this. So there's different ways of repatterning your mindset, repatterning your energy, reframing your thoughts, all of these things with mind-body connection, working with your nervous system, so that you can shift into those higher realms with a lot more ease. Otherwise, your energy, that fear that it has, that survival energy, it can very much keep you stuck. It thinks it's doing its job by keeping you safe, by keeping you comfortable, but it's keeping you from shining.
Right. Yeah, and I love how you brought up, yeah, like, with water elements, they go to fear, like frozen in fear. I mean, we all feel fear, but typically these five elements go to a certain emotion. So, like, the earth element goes to worry,
Mhm.
the fire goes to panic, wood goes to anger, and metal goes to grief. And what else is,
That's
I
it.
know there's another one for metal. Okay.
Yeah, fear of letting go. That's normally what metal is, but mostly a form of grief. It encompasses that fear of letting go. And all of this goes so much deeper, which is probably a little bit too much for this conversation, but we all manifest our trauma very differently. Mine manifested very physically. And when you get deeper into this work, into learning what your element is, what your rhythm, what your stress patterning is, your body's always communicating with you. It's always talking to you and telling you what it needs. Your body wants to heal. It really does. And it does want to help you to shine like God created us to. But
Right.
it's going to tell us, hey, here's where the problem is, and we need to love ourselves through this, get the support we need to move through this issue and, step out into our next level. So this work is deep, it's profound. It just helps you to shift, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful for it.
Absolutely. And it's truly rapid transformation. I think
Mhm.
when you are so used to doing the same things over and over again, that's almost like your inner reality is a reflection
Mhm.
of what's happening in the outer
Mhm.
reality. So if you find yourself in the same vicious cycles of, with related to money, like that scarcity, or maybe you're showing up and you're like, for me, it showed up as sabotaging enrollment calls because I had
Mhm.
those unworthiness patterns. Everything that's happening in your external reality is a direct mirror and reflection of what's happening
Mhm.
inside. And you can shift that. This is where so many people go and they're like, I need to hire a business coach, I need to work on my marketing.
Mhm.
But this is where the true shift happens. And
Mhm.
this is where you can start to expand and know, and your nervous system knows it's safe to expand,
Mhm.
to help more people, to raise your vibration, to be able to, shine your light out in the world. That's really
Mhm.
what Release and Rise is about. It's about unleashing all of who you are and unanchoring yourself from these past traumas, these
Mhm.
limiting beliefs that have kept you small. So if
Mhm.
this is really resonating with you, I invite you. I'm actually opening up an early bird investment level for Release and Rise up until December 3rd. So if this is resonating with you and you're ready, you're ready to cut cords with the past, to start off 2022 feeling lit up and unleashed and unlocked, we are here for you. And I wanted to bring Angela on so you could feel into really how unique and different this program is to help you to shine your light out in the world, to make a bigger income and impact. And so that's what I'm inviting you into. It's such a transformative experience, and there's really nothing else like it, as people have said at the retreat.
There's really not. And I have to say this too. So I'm a trained counselor. I've gone to, graduate school. I've been in my own therapy, and nothing has shifted me more than adding this energy work into it, this mindfulness work into it. All of that. Once that happened, that's whenever I rapidly began to heal. Therapy alone, from my own experience, it's not enough. Talk therapy is great, but for me, it wasn't enough. Like, this is a great investment for, like we keep saying, a rapid transformation shift with support of other people who are walking the walk with you. I mean, I can't think of anything else like this, and it's so important. Please come. We want you there. We want to help you. We need your light in the world. We
Right.
really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this, and I wanted to end with Angela's tea quote today. So just tell a
Yes.
little bit about
So
what that quote
I
is.
love my little mug. A friend of mine gifted me this. It says Stephen Good, and I'm a big tea drinker. And I picked up a tea bag, and I just kind of felt God say, no, no, pick up another one. So whenever I picked it up, it comes with a little message. The message today says, personal growth lies within the unknown. Courage permits you to explore this space. And I was like, oh, that is perfect for today. Thank you, God. He's always talking to us. When we step out of that fear, nervous system response, and we step into that peace, it's so much easier to hear him and
Right.
those messages. You know, we are not alone. We are also divinely supported in this. And that, what's better?
What a beautiful thing to end on. Thank you for everybody who, I know there's probably a bunch of people who are going to watch the replay of this. Thank you, Tanya, for being on the whole time. I see your comments. I see your love here. So yeah, we would love to have you.
My mug was from Tanya.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Thank you, Tanya.
So she's literally here with us. Yeah, so we would love to support you in your transformation journey, to help you shine your light, to start off 2022 fully unleashed. 222 is actually one of my angel numbers, my lucky numbers, that tells me I'm on the right path. So I'm expecting 2022 to be just totally unleashed, and I'm so excited for it. So thank you so much, Angela, for coming on. I'm going to share a little bit more in the comments below, just so people can get to know you a little bit more. And I will see everybody on the next Facebook Live. Happy early Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.